Restart that whole thing.
All right.
All right, we're here with the FYD podcast. I'm here with Jeff. You got a lot of things going on. It was interesting how we kind of ended up hooking up through blockchain, the Blockland event, and you know, looking at some of the presentations. You had one that was very unique in the rough, where you were just saying, "I want to talk about golf," right? And I'm like, "All right, well, let's hear what this is about." So, I messaged you on the internet, grabbed you in here, and then as we're talking, I just wanted to learn more. I thought it was good content. So, you're as a cliff notes, I'll let you obviously get into some of this, but you're getting into the golf business. You've been around that kind of atmosphere for over 20 years.
Right.
You're an aspiring author, inspiring entrepreneur.
Correct.
What initially got you into golf?
Well, I'll tell you. I mean, my earliest memory of golf was when I was probably 6 years old, and I was in the car with my parents, and we're driving to see my grandmother in Mayfield Heights. My grandparents, I'm sorry, they were both alive at the time, but so we were driving by the old Landerhaven Country Club, which is no longer there, and it was an early spring day. The trees hadn't budded yet. It was raining out. And we're driving by this golf course. I remember my dad saying I was always on the right-hand side so he could keep an eye on me, So anyway, he's like, golfers. And I look to the right, and I see all these people with umbrellas and this bright green, almost like a surreal green, almost like you'd see in a painting or an impressionist painting. And it just had an incredible impression. I mean, my thought was like, what would make a person want to go out in the rain and chase this little white ball around? So that was kind of like I didn't understand the motivation or how anybody could become that obsessed that they'd go out in the rain and play this game. So that was really my earliest memory. And really I left it there. Wasn't really a golfing family. We're more of like a outdoors camping family in the summers. So anyway, so 15 years later is the first time I really picked up a club, or actually, my senior year of high school probably. And I had a friend, a skiing buddy that was an aspiring professional, so he went out to become a club pro, but he kind of introduced me to the game, and I'd go to the driving range where he worked and hit some balls, and it was kind of interesting because it was very difficult for me to understand how to, once you dive into it, you become kind of obsessed, like, what is this thing, and how do I progress in it?
Did you find that, obviously it's a deep game, there's a lot to it, did you find that you loved it immediately, or did you really become enamored with it later? Was there a specific
I really became enamored with it when I played my first 18 holes, right around the age of 20, and I hit that one shot. When you hit that one shot that's just absolutely perfectly struck, you feel that tuning fork effect in your body, and that's kind of really what, as soon as you hit that one shot, you get hooked. So that was it for me, and that first round was up there in Chagrin, Charlie Sifford's old course that he used to play. I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Well, yeah, because I was trying to think. I know very little about the east side, but I do know where Landerhaven is, like executive caterers. Is that the?
Yeah, it's now an office complex back in there and a catering.
Okay, yeah. We had in my other life, we have a facility in on Lander Brook. So that
it's right there, same area. Right?
Yeah. The one that kind of looks like a trailer, like a '50s diner. That building. We have a data center out that way. So. Anyways, so you're building up your golf game. You didn't take a career in it though, initially.
No, because it was a very frustrating game for me, and I've always been the kind of person that was very competitive with myself as far as games and trying to master games, and this was one that just seemed to completely befuddle me. So I ended up doing a lot of sort of research on the game and doing a lot of reading. But really it wasn't till about the age of 29, I first picked up this book titled The Elliott Wave Principle. I don't know if you ever...
No.
It was all about...
What's it about?
It was all about the Fibonacci and, the spiral that is
how that
common
pertains
in
to
nature.
golf, or just the Fibonacci?
And it just seemed like, to me, like, I was thinking, like a hurricane, each one has a different name.
Sure.
And so it occurred to me that every person is sort of like their own little mini hurricane. We're trying to create this efficiency of movement that's very powerful. And it just seemed to me that somehow it relates, the Fibonacci spiral relates to balancing the periphery with the center.
Okay.
And so it occurred to me that they're somehow related.
And how have you expanded on that? If that's kind of like your baseline philosophy for golf.
Well, I did a lot of reading. I like The Art of Golf, Sir Walter Simpson, and the one that really struck me and really led to me publishing my first website in '96 was Heart of a Goof by P.G. Wodehouse, one of the greater fiction pieces written on the game. But when I first published Golden Golf way back then, I was doing it under a pen name because I
didn't want people to know you played golf?
Well, I really wasn't like seeking any kind of fame or recognition. I just was trying to focus on the content.
Okay.
So I took the perspective from the author's perspective. I took the perspective of the oldest member, which is a character in the book, and everything is written from his perspective.
And that's the website that you still host.
Right, so I published under Taylor Spalding.
Right.
I was thinking in search terms way back then.
Okay, yeah.
But I published under that pen name, trying to look from the perspective of sort of the wizened old, the oldest member, the old wise guy that was kind of giving advice to the youngsters and the people that were wasting their time playing the other games like the lawn bowling and the other games. He would say, he was like, golf
I certainly get it. Yeah.
Golf is the pinnacle. Why are you wasting your time playing crochet or cricket or what's the word?
Rugby?
No.
Hockey? Mixed martial arts?
The lawn bowlers. He would make fun of the lawn bowlers.
Okay, yeah.
Like, why are you wasting your time? And you should be out playing golf.
Golf, right.
But that's kind of how I wrote the whole thing. It was from that perspective, because I'm slowly growing into the role as I age. But I was like 29 at the time.
Yeah. Well, art imitates life. So
I guess so.
Maybe you cast yourself.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know how wise I'm becoming, but.
Well, Michael Hudak's not a pen name. Subscribe to me on YouTube. So you're building this website in '96, right? So that's.
Well, I was fascinated with the web because I'd sent a bunch of proposals, to publishers, and got rejected a bunch of times. I'm like, then this new thing, this World Wide Web was coming up.
Right, gave everyone a voice.
Emergence, and I was like, I could just publish myself. So I spent a lot of time putting that together.
What kind of content were you offering up that was being rejected? Like articles, or? I
had one article published in a local little magazine. It was about Varden. That that people misunderstand Varden, etc. There was a guy around named Scott Robertson way back then. He would actually hold the club like this.
Okay.
With his, instead of his left hand here,
like
over the top.
Person. Yeah.
And he was swinging like this.
Yeah.
And he was having success.
Yeah.
And I guess that really kind of opened my eyes to the fact that, that form doesn't necessarily really mean anything. I mean,
do you really?
Well, there's certain.
That?
Well, I think that there's certain efficiencies, and I'm not trying to write a book about the usual things that you would normally just go see your professional, your PGA professional about, but sort of the blue ocean kind of ideas that are going to give you that aha moment. Well, back then we called it the aha moment. Today we'd probably call it like the 0 to 1 moment, like a Peter Thiel reference.
And when you say blue ocean, you mean like on a high level?
Yeah, like the golf magazines and the tips and the tricks
Yeah.
that are focused on now, I think are kind of misleading because they really take you into the micro
Sure.
sort of ideas of.
And you're looking at the broader strokes, concepts that are timeless.
My idea is that as you stack concepts against each other, it's like an object, because between two objects there's always a space. Mm-hmm. So between two thoughts there's always a space. So as we try to stack concepts together, forming an idea of our correctness, so to speak, we lose time. So we're never in the present.
Okay.
So my idea was to find a way to make that movement in between thoughts.
Sure. Do you meditate at all?
I do some breathing exercises, a little Wim Hof here and there.
Okay, yeah, it's a very prevalent concept in meditation, is paying attention to the space between when you're breathing in and breathing out. Right,
and back then I was really fascinated with some of the Dharma,
sure,
Zen philosophy, and
so
digging into the. Yeah, I guess at that age you're kind of like in your mid-20s and you kind of your late 20s, you kind of like, well, what's life all about? And you start to get into that mode where you start getting a little more philosophical. So I was kind of in that philosophical.
But that manifested itself in golf for you.
Right, I was trying to bridge it and find out, because I was dealing with my own sort of inner goof, I guess, to take P.G. Wodehouse's reference from that book, The Heart of a Goof. So I was trying to overcome sort of the goof. And we all have that goof, that the person inside that's like, when nothing seems to be going right, you brood about it. What's, why,
Sure.
And so it was kind of, that was sort of my way of overcoming that. And, I still battle a little bit, but I don't play that much anymore actually, but I do gain more enjoyment just being in the game. So.
Sure. Yeah, no, that's interesting how you've kind of taken, that goes for anything that's true. If you look at the general concepts that are timeless, there's always the meta game, and then there's certain play styles that come and go, and that, again, for anything, whether it's chess, fighting, golf, and you're kind of playing to other people's styles, not just the game.
Right. Well, the whole thing is finding your own authenticity. Like that's a Bagger Vance reference.
Right.
But finding your own authentic movement that is distinctly yours. If you look at the professionals on the tour, I mean, there's such a different variety that you can't really, copy or emulate. I mean, you can emulate because certain players have, physical or I don't know how to say it. They have a certain way of moving that may be similar to your natural movement that you could emulate. But as Sir Walter Simpson said, no one man can swing another man's body. So you have to go within and find your own.
We have to know yourself, right?
Exactly.
Everyone has their own little tweaks.
So and that's kind of what I'm trying to help the player with, is finding their own personal sort of signature. That's what I'm trying to do. So that's kind of the blue ocean thing, is, ultimately we have to assimilate the knowledge that we gain about ourselves or in general and bring it within our own selves to make that happen. So that's kind of the whole blue ocean strategy, is to find that thing that we're able to teach ourselves that no one else can really teach us. So ultimately everything's self-taught, because we have to assimilate the knowledge that we bring in. So that's kind of where I'm trying to go with this and take it to a little different level. So.
No, that makes sense. So you have this website, and you're still working on it today. You're still updating it.
Well, I haven't updated the site since 2010.
Okay, so it's been a little bit.
It's been a little bit. And I was never really a tech guy. Now, my father was a computer guy. He was he was an IBM guy. I remember when I was a kid, I don't know if you remember the Honeywell building, 55th and the Shoreway there. So when I was 6, 7 years old, take your son to work day kind of thing or whatever, he would take me down there. And really, people that don't you know, you hear IBM, Big Blue or whatever, but I mean, you'd walk down these hallways and it was these panels of blue, you know, galvanized steel painted blue.
Okay.
I mean, it really was Big Blue. I mean, that computer took up the whole room. It was vacuum tubes.
Right, right. And it was a mainframe.
And a mainframe, punch cards, and you know, all that kind of stuff. So and I remember, you know, like he'd bring these shoe boxes home of punch cards.
If you get them out of order, it's over.
He'd be like, "Don't move these punch cards because everything's ruined." So, but that was, you know, a fascination. But I was more interested in computers as a you know, as a media thing or a content, the ability as a consumer, I guess.
Yeah.
But I don't know where I was going with that.
No, you're good. Believe me, it has.
Just a memory.
Yeah.
Just a memory of.
But like days. As far as the website goes, so you're building it. Now, do you take some of the content that you kind of started on the website? Is that what the book is, or feed me into where the book's going? Some of the concepts.
When I wrote the website, you know, I kind of was looking from the Zen perspective, or sort of the eightfold path. So I came out with like 10, you know, the 10 W's of golf. You know, the first was waking, the last was washing. You know, you have to wake and wash. You have to awaken and wash it away.
Wax on, wax off.
Wax on, wax off. So you know, when the shot's done, whether it was good or bad, it's in the past, and it's onward. There's always the next shot. So that was kind of the whole. And then in between was sort of, I was trying to help the player understand sort of how the body is settling and centering. You know, sort of you're walking, you're making sort of a walking movement as you're waggling. So your lower body and upper body are sort of trying to balance around your center of gravity. So it's kind of part of the things that I was trying to explain. These days, I'm kind of shifting more towards specific strategies that are going to give you that 0 to 1 moment, that aha moment. So
that perfect shot.
So I'm kind of working away from that other previous thing.
More
I'm just
philosophical.
kind of, as I've grown older and hopefully wiser, I'm trying to add what I've learned since then into a new material.
So what's your timeline? So we're in the we're in Q3 for 2019. Do you want to release the book next year? Do you want to release it?
I got myself a year.
Okay.
I'm about halfway through it.
Okay.
But I need to edit it down, and I want to make it the shortest, greatest book.
I definitely get
because,
that. Yeah.
Because if I'm talking about shortcuts, you don't want a 500-page book about shortcuts. It doesn't make sense.
How do you plan on publishing it?
Right now, I'm going to self-publish, unless there's anyone out there that has an interest in it. You know, I'd be happy to forward some.
Well, I'd be more than happy to help you out because I self-published Fortify Your Data, that book, and we, you know, speaking to the volume thing, the original book was about, I would say, 200 pages, and then we're like, well, if we're going to I went through a publisher initially. And they're like, well, we need to add another 100 pages of just content or like just fluff. And like we went back and forth on what that could be.
Right.
But yeah, at the end of the day, it's like they weren't overly pushy, but it just got to the point where I'm like, I just want this to be a book that's just out.
Right.
I certainly am a ready, shoot, aim kind of guy. So it's like, well, just do things, then ask questions later.
Start before you're ready, kind of thing.
Always. I've always hit the ground running. So it's a gift and a curse with any endeavor. But yeah, I think that today, much like the internet was in '96, self-publishing just is so easy. You can still get it in bookstores. It's still, you know. But yeah, I definitely, I'm an advocate of that. If you can kind of afford to not go through a publisher.
Right.
Obviously, you'd have to do your own marketing, but that's kind of what this is, anyways, right? So clearly, you're willing to put in that work. Right? Let's talk about your product that you built. Right now, is this? Can we see it?
Yeah. Pull it out. This product was, like I said earlier, I was fascinated with the Fibonacci.
Yeah.
And so what I did is, now this product, this wood here is over 20 years old. I had these spun out in 1996.
Yeah.
And
the golden swing thing.
Exactly.
I don't know if you can see that, but
and they screw together. So I considered this a prototype back then because I really wanted the centers to be more like a brass or a gold color, and the manufacturer kind of felt otherwise.
Sure.
And so what I have is just a ring here with a pendulum attached to it, and you screw them together.
Yep. You're going to want to face that way. I think we're good, yeah. So you screw them together.
Screw it together. It just basically has a little tether and a hitting ball.
Yep.
Okay. And then I go through various exercises on how to use this to center yourself. So I had it laid out. I was trying to figure out, basically took a bow staff, which is a martial arts training tool. And I had the Fibonacci series laid out on the stick in the rings. So 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34.
Sure.
And then a center. And the way you use it is you try to align your center with the center of the stick, so that no matter what where you're at in your movement, you can use these rings and just try to keep this ball centered, and so that you're constantly moving. And I don't want to hit you.
No, go for it, man. I've been hit before.
But you need a lot of room to work this, just as if you were, using a golf club.
I'm getting in here. So you want to always keep it at your center, like your base.
Right.
So, and are you moving your base with it like that? I'm moving this ball all over the place. You're much better at this than I am.
You kind of want your legs to sort of swim underneath you, and that's really
something like that. Now you can't really see that ball, maybe. See some of these beat up shoes that Fortify need a belt buckle. That might be its video premiere. Interesting.
And so you do various exercises. So for example, if I'm off center, even if I'm over my knee here, I can still work this thing so that I'm moving my center and trying to keep that ball still. And if you do this, oops, sorry.
Take it out, man. Doesn't matter.
If you do that and you try to keep that ball still, you'll feel your center sort of become invigorated. You'll feel that tension at your center and your connection, and you'll feel all your connecting muscles.
It's like martial. So did you do martial arts at all, or
a little bit, but I don't really have any belts.
Yeah, no problem. It's not about belts. It's about obviously you took some concepts.
Right.
Head bone over tailbone.
I was trying to. Right. So the whole thing is, and then if you can really get into a full exercise mode where you're whipping that ball around, and if you do it, you'll really start to feel it in your legs, right in here. And so when you strengthen these stabilizer muscles, it'll really help you center yourself and keep your when you're swinging, it'll keep you stable so that you're not shooting outside of your sphere. In other words, there's an entropy barrier, so to speak.
Yeah. So when you're swinging it around, the ball's obviously whipping around. Right. You're trying to keep the ball within this sphere. Like, I guess, what is the goal with the ball at that point when you're really swinging?
Well, the ball helps sort of slow you down, because when you whip that thing around, it's almost like you're feeling the spiral movement. You're sort of feeling that periphery connecting with the center.
I've spent a lot of time actually with a bow staff before, so that's why I'm as engaged right now. How many times do you hit yourself with the ball?
Well, you got to be careful because when you whip it around, that ball comes around, and you got to watch your
I get it. No, that's what I'm saying. How many times do you hit yourself with the ball?
So there may be a product liability issue there that I need to address.
We have so I'm at a martial arts gym. We have there's these. Basically, it's a similar thing where it's a strap on your head, and then there's a ball that hangs from it.
Okay.
And what they do is they'll hit the ball, and they have to keep hitting the ball. But if they stop, the ball hits them in the face. Right. So it was reminiscent of that, but
reminds me of the Tin Cup movie with
trying to get the ball in the cup.
Roy McAvoy walks in. He's got all these gadgets around him.
Okay.
And he's got like a little pendulum hanging from his ball cap because he's trying to keep his head still and.
Okay, I do not know that one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that one I did not know. Yeah.
A certain scene in the movie, but
Sure.
it's kind of funny because with this, I was trying to be like, this is like sort of the one gadget that will help you, as opposed to like, there's always, there's things that are restricting your arms and trying to get them on a track, and there's so many different gadgets, and this is just a basic where you could go in your kitchen, take a broomstick, tie a pendulum to it, and I can help you.
Yeah. Now, do you sell that?
It's for sale.
Do you sell them online, or?
I never. Well, when I first put it together, I was like, oh, it's just kind of prototype. I'm not sure.
I mean, it feels like a finished product. I mean, the wood's in good condition. It's like varnished.
Yep.
It's like it looks finished.
And the thing about it was, I was trying to, and this is kind of like a Satoshi-like, but I was trying to figure out how to make the products sort of collectible or limited. So when I had them made, I had them each serialized. So like the first 21 were triple A's, and then the next 34 were double A's.
Okay.
And I just went out along the Fibonacci sequence. So, so then there were 55 in the A series, and 89 in the B series, and then 144 in the C series.
Yeah, Siri thinks that we're talking to her, evidently. Oh, it's your Siri. Okay. We can keep that in. You're good. That one's anecdotal.
That's mine going on?
Oh, is that yours? Or is that Larry's? That's yours. Yeah, we're saying Siri, and it thinks that Siri wants to talk to you.
Oh, okay, yeah. All right.
This is fine. I'm fine with leaving that in. That's funny. You can't edit that one out. That's here forever.
But anyway, so I was trying to figure out a way to make them
like
collectible or rare, because it's basically a bow staff. And
it's a bow staff sawed in half with a washer, and then
the nubs and everything. But with the nubs, it helps you when you're doing it quickly, back and forth. These kind of form rings, so that you can sort of.
Those are based on the Fibonacci sequence.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. So everything was golden.
Yeah.
Everything was golden.
Sure.
Anyway, so I have 15 of these left of the triple A's.
Okay.
So.
And do you sell them through your website, or how do people get them?
You're gonna have to call me or email me.
All right, so you're gonna have to message us on either Libsyn or YouTube, and we will sell you these bow staffs through them for a commission, obviously.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. They're $500. Don't ask about my margins. So this is so cool. So you're obviously you've pondered the Fibonacci sequence for decades.
I've always been like an Austrian economics guy.
Yeah.
How to find rarity or how to create rarity. So I can't believe I wasn't onto Bitcoin in 2012.
Right. Yeah, well, you'd want to be on it in 2008, ideally, but
right.
Yeah.
Or after the Genesis block.
Yeah, that would have been nice, or just be the one that made it. But
I'm the kind of person that probably would have lost them.
Yeah,
I'd have like thrown out my hard drive or something, and
I'm on the end of people that just I sold it at a good time, but not at the right time.
Yeah,
I guess is the best way to put it. Obviously, I'm still here talking to people.
Right.
If I had sold at the right time, I'd be on an island.
Right.
Never talking to a person again. So back to the Fibonacci sequence, though. What meaning do you think it has?
Well, I think it's kind of like the grand. It's sort of like the grand sequence. I mean, if you think about it, all the way from our DNA to hurricanes and tornadoes and galaxies, and they all seem to form.
Yeah,
along
there's consistency
along that sort of grand
ratio,
the golden ratio. So why wouldn't my thing was, well, any kind of pendulum or swing or anything, there has to be that sequence in there. There has to be, we're basically creating a mini hurricane when we're swinging. We're just simply sort of fighting the wind as we go back and then letting it take us with it as we come forward. So because we're all different, we're all unique, but we still have sort of that common thing. We're all creating little mini hurricanes in our swings. So
Yeah,
So
no,
I
that
guess
makes a lot of sense.
that's what I'm trying to convey, is that if you can find what your unique sort of hurricane profile is, then you'll find more success.
How do you teach other people how to find that?
Well, I go into it with the stage presentation that I handed you the script for.
Yeah.
And it's really understanding sort of a hierarchy of what you need to figure out first. You know, I mean, I'll give it a little bit away.
Cliff Notes version, yeah.
Golf's a time problem
yeah.
first, a motion problem second, and a form problem third. But most of it is switched around in modern teaching. Everything's so focused on form that we lose the other two. So my main focus is going to be on time and motion, how to find your time signature.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically what the stage presentation's about.
Yeah, okay. Spoiler.
But someday I will. Yeah. Spoiler alert, yeah.
Yeah, someday. You ever want to video that?
I have videoed it.
Okay. Do you distribute that?
I have not distributed it yet.
All right, well, maybe fortifyyourdata.com will be the first distribution channel for it.
That'd be great.
Yeah. So, aside from all of that, how has technology changed golf in the last 10 years, let's say, 20 years?
Well, I think the most advances have probably been in the construction of the actual golf ball.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's the modern golf ball was invented by a local guy.
Okay.
His name was Haskell. Last name was Haskell.
Okay.
And he had a friend that worked at, it was either Goodyear, I don't want to say which rubber company.
Yeah, no worries.
It was somewhere in Akron.
A rubber company out of
Akron. A rubber company out of Akron, and he was waiting for a meeting with his friend that worked there, and he saw these rubber strippings from products that were being made, or tires, or whatever it was. And so he had the idea of winding them around a core to better the golf ball, because back then the golf ball was like gutta percha. I don't know if it's almost like a hard compacted.
Is it still rubber? Is it like a polymer?
Something like that?
Okay.
Some kind of. I can't.
I know very little about the world around me, so
okay.
You have to give me like third grade reading level.
Well, back in the day, they used to take leather and stitch it together and stuff it with bird feathers. That was like the original golf ball.
Okay, that sounds.
Then I went to gutta percha,
which
is like almost like a cheap driving range ball.
Sure.
See, and then it went into the wound ball, which was a major advancement. And then nowadays, there's no such thing as a wound ball. Everything's 2, 3, 5-piece construction, and everything's very meticulously engineered for the spin and all that kind of stuff. So really the greatest advancements have been in the golf ball and in golf shafts, I guess.
Do you think that has made people better at golf? Like
no.
It's a weird handicap where all the balls are just super technical.
I think that that the bell curve is always in operation. So you have down here at the bottom, you've got the pros, touring pros, and then your club pros, and then it rises steeply to the top, where most of the rest of the population is up here.
Sure.
And then when you get to the other side, you're playing so poorly you probably would give up the game.
That's right. I kick the ball and it lands in the hole.
So my goal here is to sort of just shift the top of that bell curve a little bit.
Sure.
Bring people to the one side, get them to start going down that side towards betterment. But really, technology really hasn't changed the profile of that bell curve.
The game is still the game.
The game's still the game, and golf's the kind of game where it's very chaos theory applies, the butterfly effect. You can hit 2 good shots and 2 horrible shots and have quadruple bogey, whereas if you just hit one more good shot, you're shooting par.
Yeah,
So
the game's different.
So that's the whole edge, is where you hit that one bad shot, that recovery back to your steady state it's very difficult to come back to your steady state or find a steady state. And so golf's very state driven. It's very your level of equanimity, or your level of calm and peace really has a lot to do with whether or not you're going to slide off the back of that bell curve or move towards the
as it
the
does in
better
anything,
side.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the focus of the book. And you asked me, I guess, the two sentences. You know,
Yeah.
how to bring calm to your game
Yeah.
would be one,
Yeah.
and just strategies for broad strategies for cut.
No, well, no, that's fine because it sounds like from a philosophy standpoint, while the book's about golf, it really applies to anything.
Right. Right.
Which again, as somebody that is pretty unaware of like the real world of golf or how golf's really played, like I know how you know how I play golf, but that's not how you're supposed to play golf. Those key elements to it, even like finding those broad strokes, like in my life, if you look from like boxing standpoint, it's that torque of the hips. You're drawing the energy from the ground. You are creating a Fibonacci sequence motion. I never thought of that until just, I don't know, 10 minutes ago.
Okay.
It does apply, and I like that it applies across categories. So,
Right.
And that makes me excited to definitely read the book.
Yep. Brings
Same will,
connection.
yeah.
You're trying to bring connection, and you want every molecule outside of your center to be connected to your center.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. So I ask this question to most people that jump on the podcast these days, whether they are a guy that is building one of the largest cannabis education schools,
Okay.
or an IT director, or somebody that's building artificial intelligence. How do you define success?
Success is adding as much value as you can in whatever you're pursuing, and bringing joy to other people and helping other people to be their best, I think is success.
That's one of the more concise answers we've ever gotten. And so, is this the thing you're most excited to bring value to for people right now?
I think it really is sort of my life
Yeah.
mission, ever since almost biting the dust a few years ago. I think that really brought me into focus that I need to keep pursuing what I discovered or found fascinating all those years ago. And of course, I'm fascinated with. On my Twitter account, it started out as a golf Twitter.
Yeah.
Now it's all about Bitcoin and blockchain, and
for sure.
I've been sort of sidetracked a little bit, but I find that fascinating as well. I find it's very exciting that the Austrian economic model is really
taking hold.
It's I've always been a strong libertarian, small government guy.
Sure.
Power to the people kind of, and I think that the Bitcoin revolution is sort of
It's coming there,
is sort of bringing that to fruition.
Yeah, especially, our country is one thing, but in China or a lot of South African countries where not all the people have a good way to even just distribute money amongst themselves.
Right.
It's an absolute game changer. So.
Yeah, and South America too. Last year I went to Colombia, visit my cousins living down there, so got the invite to come down, and it's a wonderful place. First of all, the people are. It's all about alegria. Can't say it in the right accent, but it's all about joy and very joyous people. And what I see going on in Venezuela is very sad. My grandfather, he was a Ford guy, Ford executive, and spent a lot of time in Caracas back in the 60s. And to see that Venezuela go from probably the most prosperous South American country into what it is now, and
lower percentile.
All these people that highly educated, wonderful people that are fleeing and moving into Colombia. So that touches my heart, like to see these kids that once had a bright future in Venezuela are now fleeing and trying to find a life. So
a lot of
I'd
people
like to
feel that
focus
way
on
about people leaving Cleveland for Silicon Valley.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that'll change.
Yeah, that's the goal of what we're trying to do.
Blockland is all about it.
Yeah, for sure. So all right, as we're nearing the end, is there anything you want to plug? Any way you want people to reach out to you?
Well, I'm on Twitter, at golf to the core.
Yeah.
That's
Is it to the letter or to T-O?
To golf to the core.
All right, I'll have that in the description. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
That's about it. I mean,
That's about it, yeah.
I'd love to be able to do this presentation at some point. Maybe not Blockland this year.
We'll find it. We'll get this. I will buy this video of you doing this presentation and distribute it.
Maybe next year at Blockland I'll do it.
Yeah. Well, it could be this year at Blockland. You never know.
You never know.
You never know. All right. Well, thank you again. I really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you. Appreciate it.